So we'll just have a quick look over the AEK modules and just have a quick see what they are. So AEK CSS, I'm pretty sure that's quite self-explanatory. AEK libs, or library as we call it, not only contains the tools that we use within our AEK pages, but also contains all of our React components. So we've pre-built a lot of components for you to use. We have our command line interface, which allows us to create our content on our development machine, and allows us to kind of view this in a personalized way. And then once we have that, we can then deploy that to either the development environment or the live environment. We have our build tools, and these take all of our React JS and our less files and kind of puts it back into what the browser will understand and use. We have our boilerplates, which are kind of our starter packs for you. So these will have a very simplistic screen, but with all the container and all the modules that you require to get started. And this means that you can kind of basically run this and make sure that your installation is working, and also gives you kind of a good starter for 10. So you can make sure that you're not missing anything which you might require. We have the AEK registry. Like I said before, this contains two different areas. So this contains our registry area, which allows us to kind of store our projects, and every version of a project is stored. So you can either roll back or you can get an earlier version if required. And it also provides you with our documentation area as well, which is just sat right here. So this might be familiar to a few of you. If you have gone and had a look at it, you'll see obviously the AEK guide and a few quick links to some different areas. And obviously if I start searching, it will obviously give me the information that I require. So the AEK CSS, it's a mobile-friendly CSS framework. It's customizable, but it's kind of tailored to the AEK and the experience that we're trying to drive for that. It's built off Semantic UI, which is similar to Bootstrap, but with less jQuery, which was obviously appealing. And within that, it's kind of designed to accompany all of the React components we've created for you guys, and we'll give you an example of those in a bit. But it also works very well independently as well. So if you weren't going to use React, if you were just going to use HTML and CSS, you could use the AEK CSS to work with that. And it's called semantic because obviously it semantically calls things. So you can see here, a button is called a button. Because it's all done in this way, it's all kind of appropriate naming. There's no kind of shorthand which you need to learn or kind of work with. It's very human friendly. And you can read this quite easily. So for example, here you'll see that there is a H3 tag, which is right aligned, dividing, and a header. So that means obviously it's going to be quite prominent and probably a little line underneath it. There's an icon inside of that with a home button. So I'm thinking like a little house. And then obviously the words Lorem Ipsum as well. So you can see, even if you might not be a full CSS techie, or you might not have written the CSS yourself for this project, you're picking it up later on, you'll be able to instantly recognize what things are and what they're doing, and kind of how it's going to look on the page when you're reviewing the code. And of course, on the npm.campusm.net address, we have got all the documentation, like I said before, so you can just log in with your App Manager accounts and you can start perusing the information there. So we have a section for the AEK CSS. And in here, if I click on buttons on the left-hand side on the menu, you can see we're just talking about how buttons are and the elements that are there. So you can see, for example, here, if you add the class of button to a div, an A tag, an actual button, or a span, they all look and seem the same, so there's no difference in sizing or colors. And like I say, as you go on down, there's different examples, all with the code available, so you can go and have a look at those, and all of that information is there as well for you, so you can go away and literally read all of this information and get the best out of it for you. And again, if you wanted to use any of these, you literally just select the one that you wanted, Google+, copy and paste that, and then you can put that into your project, and as long as you've got the AEK CSS there, that will work for you very well indeed. So the AEK lib, or library, is basically all of our React components, our UI components, as well as all the tools, integration tools that we use. So again, this has its own separate area on the registry, which you can get to just by, if I remove that, just clicking on AEK lib there will take you to the same link here. And you'll be able to see here again, this has more documentation for you to have a quick read through, a bit of supplement text about what it is. And then all the properties that can be defined on this component as well, and what they actually do and how they work. We went one step further for you as well. We've also given every kind of property its own example underneath. So you can see here we've got states, icons, inverted buttons, fluid buttons, social buttons, and also kind of how things can be clickable and the actions that can work with that button. And this is not only just for the buttons area, but this is also for our headers as well. So again, similar thing, we have a bit of just content information there, just telling you how they are. And then obviously examples and properties as well. So you can go away and have a read through this and gain some knowledge. And obviously you can always refer back to this when you're creating your AEK areas as well. And this will kind of show you how things can be created and worked with. The other side of this obviously is our tools. So we have things, for example, like FastClick, which is a library which is developed by the Financial Times, and this just stops a delay between clicks on a web view. So when you're using a web view, obviously sometimes it might be expecting a drag command. So if you've ever used a website which doesn't use something like this, if you tap on a button, you might find it delays a little bit before it starts loading the page or follows that action forwards. So it's just quite good to have something like that. It makes it feel more natural and more kind of native and not so much an old web view. We've also got other things like our request library, which allows us to bring in third-party APIs, which we'll also be having a look at, and also kind of things like screen link, which allows us to go and take AEK screens and link off to those ones as well if we so want to. Like I say, all the documentation's there with a few examples and a few bits and pieces in there as well, so feel free to have a quick read through of those, and anything which might not be explained in there, please obviously just let us know and we can talk to you about it a bit further. AEK CLI, like I say, is the command line interface or the command line tools, and it's there to kind of help you guys create your projects, develop them and manage them, and obviously again also deploy them to your environments. Obviously not very good if it just stays on your local machine. We've tried to do it very much not only for machines so it works really fast, but we've also tried to make sure that it has a friendly approach to it, so you guys can navigate and work through that without too many problems or too many issues. It's kind of underpinned a lot by NPM or Node Package Manager. So if you haven't used it before, don't worry. But obviously if you have, it will kind of feel like a very similar situation, similar setup for you, which will be fantastic. But it also allows you to go to the public NPM registry and kind of cherry pick any open source code which is there. So an example of that, which we'll do in a second, but these are just the documentation for the AEK CLI. So again, on the NPM registry, we've got all of this here for you and all of the information on the cloud, and also the installation details if you require those again. But npmjs.com is the kind of the public NPM stack, and this allows you to not only obviously see their very nice website, but you can see which packages are being installed quite a bit. But there was also a search area up here. So say if I wanted to, for example, bring in Google Maps into my React project, I can go have a look and I can start seeing that there's a few here. There's obviously a recapture, there's some analytics for React, and there's obviously a React Google Maps component. And you can see here, it just shows you how you can install, and obviously some documentation about this as well. So you can start having a play around with this and getting a good idea of how this works. Because obviously it's React based and obviously it will work with the AEK system, you just obviously need to install this into your project. And like we say, this is really useful for you guys. This means that if someone has created this and worked on this for quite a long time and has had a lot of feedback, obviously it saves you from developing your own, which you could run into limitations and problems.